Hi there, and welcome to the Business English Podcast. Before we dive in, I have a quick question for our listeners. Have you ever worried about how to introduce yourself in an English job interview? It's a common challenge that can make or break your chances.
Absolutely, actually. Interviews can shape your entire career path. The first impression often decides if you get the job or not, so we're going to explore why a solid introduction matters. No doubt about it, this topic can change the game for many people.
Precisely. Our main focus today is how to introduce yourself in an interview in English. It's a skill that opens doors in every industry. You see, we want to help you deliver a confident introduction and explain why it matters for your future.
Exactly. This podcast will outline the key steps to create a strong first impression, offer some real-world examples, and show you how to practice. We'll also discuss valuable vocabulary and phrases, so stay tuned for our English lessons and practical tips.
That's right. Basically, here's our roadmap. First, we'll introduce the topic and explain its significance. Then, we'll share examples, provide English lessons, and give practical tips you can apply straight away. Finally, we'll recap everything and invite you to keep learning with us.
No doubt about it, input is crucial, but real progress comes from output. We want everyone listening to share their own introduction ideas in the comments. Let's all learn together and support each other's growth.
Indeed. Let's make this a community effort. If you find this helpful, hit the like button and subscribe. We'll keep bringing you tips for speaking English with confidence. All right, let's get started with today's topic. Basically, in this segment, we want to explain why a clear self-introduction in interviews is so powerful. You're spot on if you think hiring managers judge you within seconds. That's because your opening lines can reveal your personality, attitude, and how well you communicate.
Totally. In recent years, recruiters have become more focused on communication skills, especially in global companies. If you can't present yourself well, how will you handle cross-cultural teams? That first moment shows whether you can adapt and express your thoughts clearly.
Exactly. Another trend is that many firms now use virtual interviews. You see, a confident introduction can quickly set you apart, even through a webcam. I believe a clear structure is key. Greet, state your name, and highlight your role.
Indeed. After that, you should mention your background or expertise in a concise way. Then you can add a quick note about your interest in the company. People sometimes forget this part, but it shows you've done your homework. Employers appreciate curiosity and genuine enthusiasm.
Precisely. For instance, if you say, "I admire your innovative approach in mobile tech," it highlights that you care about the firm's values. Couldn't agree more. A relevant detail can truly set you apart from other candidates who just delivered generic introductions.
Absolutely. Another best practice is to keep it short and avoid rambling. You don't want your introduction to be a laundry list. A concise pitch, about 30 seconds, shows confidence. Employers see that you understand time is valuable and that you can communicate succinctly.
You nailed it. A good introduction also helps you steer the conversation. If the interviewer hears something interesting, they might ask follow-up questions based on your strengths. You control the narrative by emphasizing your unique selling points from the start.
Precisely, there's also a psychological effect. When you introduce yourself with clarity and warmth, the interviewer relaxes a bit, and that can make the entire conversation more open. Employers often prefer candidates who can foster a positive atmosphere right from the beginning.
Exactly. Let me share a real-world example. I once knew a candidate who opened an interview by smiling and saying, "I'm excited to discuss how my project management experience can support your new product launch." That direct link to the company's needs really stood out.
Couldn't agree more. That example shows how personalizing your introduction helps. It's also a chance to show confidence in your abilities. When you connect your background to their objectives, you demonstrate awareness of the company's vision and how you fit into their culture.
Indeed. Another point is body language. When you introduce yourself, keep good eye contact and maintain an upright posture that projects confidence and friendliness. You see, words alone aren't enough. The right tone of voice and gestures can make your message far more convincing.
You're spot on. Employers also look for emotional intelligence. If you smile and appear comfortable, they sense that you can handle pressure. Calm energy suggests you'll be a strong team member. This approach matches many modern workplaces that value soft skills as much as technical ones.
Totally. So in short, how you introduce yourself reveals your communication style, confidence, and respect for the interviewer's time. This part is essential in modern interviews, whether they're face-to-face or online. No doubt about it, investing time in practicing your introduction can improve your overall performance.
That's exactly how I see it. All right, that sums up why self-introductions matter so much. You see, understanding these factors is the foundation for making a great impact. In our next part, we'll review some key vocabulary and expressions to help you master these introductions.
Now let's explore some vocabulary we used. First, the word concise. It means expressing something clearly, but in a short form. Basically, you give the main idea without unnecessary details. For example, his presentation was concise, so the audience easily understood his points.
Exactly. Next up is rambling. That means talking in a confused or overly long way. You see, if you go off topic or keep adding extra details, people say you're rambling. In interviews, rambling can make you seem unfocused or unprepared.
Absolutely. Our third phrase is soft skills. These are personal attributes like communication, teamwork, and problem solving. They're different from technical skills, which involve specific knowledge. Employers often say soft skills are just as important because they show how well you work with others.
Indeed, fourth is selling points. This expression refers to key advantages or unique qualities that make something appealing. In an interview, your selling points could be your leadership background, language skills, or industry experience. Highlighting those points can help you stand out from other candidates.
Precisely. Finally, we have emotional intelligence. This is the ability to recognize and manage your own emotions, as well as understand the emotions of others. People with strong emotional intelligence communicate well, solve problems calmly, and adapt to changing situations more easily.
That's right. Let me give a quick example. If you sense your interviewer seems stressed, you keep your tone calm and clear. This shows emotional intelligence. All right, let's provide short sample sentences for each term so our listeners can practice them confidently.
First, for concise. My job application statement is concise, highlighting only my strongest achievements. For rambling. I started rambling when I got nervous, and the interviewer lost interest. Keep your message focused.
Next, for soft skills. Strong soft skills like teamwork and empathy help me collaborate with global teams, then fails. Then, selling points. My selling points include fluent Mandarin and solid project management experience.
Finally, for emotional intelligence. I used my emotional intelligence to handle a conflict between two colleagues. These phrases will help you sound more professional and focused in interviews.
Couldn't agree more. Practicing these words and sentences out loud will build your confidence. People often say you can't improve overnight, but repeating new vocabulary in real contexts can help you remember it better. Basically, keep practicing until these terms feel natural to you.
Exactly. If anyone has more phrases they'd like us to explain, drop a comment. For now, let's jump to our next segment, where we'll share practical tips on how to apply these introduction strategies in real-world interviews. Stay tuned. Now let's move on to some practical tips for mastering introductions in English interviews. First, practice speaking in front of a mirror or record yourself. You might feel awkward at first, but it helps you spot posture issues, facial expressions, and any nervous habits like fidgeting.
Exactly. Another valuable approach is to write down your introduction points in bullet form. Don't memorize a script word for word, or you'll sound robotic. Instead, keep key ideas in mind, such as your current role, relevant skills, and a brief mention of your passion for the company.
That's right. Also, remember to do a little research. If you mention something specific about the firm, like a recent product launch or a community project, it shows genuine interest. You nailed it before. Customization is key. Generic introductions feel less impactful in today's competitive job market.
Precisely. Another tip is to practice small talk with friends in English. You see, casual conversations help you gain fluency. If you can comfortably talk about your background in everyday scenarios, you'll find interviews less intimidating. Confidence grows with repetition and exposure to real conversations.
Absolutely. Let me see. It also helps to use online platforms where you can meet language exchange partners. Some people simulate interview questions and practice intros in a virtual setting. This real-time feedback can highlight any unclear points or awkward phrasing you might need to fix.
Couldn't agree more. Another popular method is video mock interviews. You record yourself answering questions like, "Can you introduce yourself?" Then you watch the footage to assess your tone, clarity, and body language. It's awkward, but you'll learn a lot from seeing yourself in action.
Exactly. By the way, pay attention to the speed of your speech. Speaking too fast can confuse the interviewer, especially if English isn't their first language either. On the other hand, speaking too slowly might suggest lack of confidence. Find a balanced pace that feels comfortable.
No doubt about it. Also, consider using a few transitional phrases like, "I'd like to emphasize," or "one thing I've learned." These help guide your introduction smoothly. You don't need a huge vocabulary to sound polished, but well-placed phrases create a more fluent impression.
Totally. Another idea is to keep a quick mental checklist. Your name, your relevant role or experience, one key achievement, and your enthusiasm for the position. This helps structure your thoughts under pressure. It can reduce panic moments and keep you focused on delivering a clear message.
That's exactly how I see it. Let me add, consider a short story if you have time, like mentioning a quick accomplishment that shows your best skills. Employers love concrete examples. For instance, "I led a team of 5 to reduce costs by 10% in 1 quarter."
Exactly. Also, keep track of industry trends. If you're in tech, mention a recent development you find interesting. If you're in marketing, highlight a campaign that inspires you. This shows you're not just interested in any job, but in contributing to the field in a meaningful way.
Indeed, and let's not forget to refine your introduction regularly. You see, as you gain new experiences, your focus or strengths may shift, so update your pitch. Couldn't agree more. A stale introduction can imply a lack of growth, which might not impress potential employers.
That's right. In today's world, trends shift fast. You have to show you're keeping up. By the way, remember, these tips aren't just for job interviews. They also help with networking events, business meetings, or even casual introductions in professional settings. Practice makes you adaptable.
You nailed it. So to summarize, do your research, keep your intro structured yet flexible, highlight a key achievement, and show genuine enthusiasm. With these tips, you'll stand out in interviews and build stronger connections in any business environment.
In this second English lesson, let's go over 5 expressions from our practical tips discussion. First, intimidating. It describes something that makes you feel nervous or scared. For example, speaking in front of senior managers was intimidating at first, but I gained confidence with practice.
Exactly. Next is fidgeting. This means making small, restless movements, often because you're anxious or bored. You might tap your foot or twist a pen unconsciously. In an interview, too much fidgeting can show nervousness. Instead, try to keep your hands relaxed and steady.
Absolutely. Third, let's look at stale. Something stale is no longer fresh or exciting. We usually use this word for food, but it can describe ideas, routines, or introductions that feel outdated. For instance, his stale presentation didn't impress the audience.
Precisely. Next, awkward. It means uncomfortable or embarrassing, often because you don't know what to do or say. You see, moments can feel awkward if you're uncertain about the situation. For example, there was an awkward pause when nobody knew how to respond.
Exactly. Finally, the word pitch. In business, a pitch is a short presentation or explanation aimed at persuading someone. You might pitch an idea to investors, or pitch your skills in an interview. For instance, she delivered a compelling pitch about her new sales strategy.
You're spot on. Shall we give example sentences for each term, just like before? All right, let's do it. Intimidating. Giving a presentation to the CEO felt intimidating, but I prepared well and stayed calm. Fidgeting. He started fidgeting in his chair when the interviewer asked tough questions.
Great. For stale. Your introduction sounds stale. Maybe add a new accomplishment. For awkward. There was an awkward moment when no one introduced themselves. And finally, pitch. I gave a short pitch about my achievements to show I'm the right candidate.
Couldn't agree more, listeners. Try creating your own sentences with these words. That's how you'll remember them. I mean, if you can apply them to real-life scenarios, you'll be more prepared to speak up in interviews or meetings. No doubt about it, practice is everything.
Absolutely. And don't forget to share your questions or examples in the comments. We'd love to see how you're using these expressions. All right. Let's move on to our closing section, where we'll recap and wrap up everything we've covered today.
Indeed, stay committed to regular practice, and these new expressions will quickly become part of your active vocabulary. Keep experimenting in different contexts to make them feel natural and seamless.
All right, let's wrap things up. Today we talked about how to introduce yourself in an interview in English. We discussed why a strong opening matters, showed examples of confident introductions, and explored vocabulary to help you refine your skills.
Exactly. Our practical tips segment highlighted real-world strategies like practicing in front of a mirror, customizing your intro, and using mock interviews. We also suggested ways to stay calm and avoid rambling, which can seriously improve your interview performance.
Absolutely. Then, in our English lessons, we broke down key vocabulary and phrases like concise, rambling, emotional intelligence, awkward, and pitch. Knowing these terms helps you speak more naturally and prepare better examples when introducing yourself.
Precisely. We hope this podcast motivates you to keep learning and practicing. Remember, interviews aren't the only place to introduce yourself effectively. Networking events, team projects, and even online communities appreciate a clear, friendly introduction. Your ability to present yourself well can open countless opportunities.
You're spot on. As we close, we want to remind you to keep practicing, share your thoughts or questions in the comments, and connect with fellow learners. We truly hope our advice helps you shine in your next interview.
Indeed. Let's keep growing together. If you enjoyed this, please hit the like button and subscribe for more business English tips. Until next time, keep practicing those introductions and stay confident in every step of your career journey.